Meeting is being recorded.
Close in the same room. Good.
Does anybody hear me?
Yeah. I'm not even joining.
Yeah, that go.
I had it muted before. I hear it in my head.
There it
That's
goes.
Okay. That was weird. I didn't do anything.
Yeah, there was an 856 phone number that just hung up. And now it's
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
So we're good.
Okay.
Allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call to order the Egg Harbor City Council meeting for March 11th, 2021. In compliance with the Open Meetings Act, State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the Egg Harbor City Common Council was provided in the following manner. Advance written notice of this meeting was posted on the Egg Harbor City Hall bulletin board. Advance written notice of this meeting was posted on the Egg Harbor City website. Advance written notice of this meeting was sent to the Hamilton Gazette, the News, the Press, and the Current. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic and social distancing requirements, the meeting is being conducted via Zoom and conference call. The meeting is also being recorded to air on the Egg Harbor City website and channel 97. Roll call, please.
Mayor Jim Petty here. Brown.
Here.
Clark. Here. Dash.
Here.
Heist.
Here.
Sefton. Here. Timbers.
Here.
Frykall.
Here,
Wright.
Here.
Ritchie.
Here. All right, minutes, February 25th, 2021. May I have a motion?
Make a motion.
A second.
Second, all in favor?
aye.
Open it up to the public. Anyone from the public have any comment on any item on the agenda? No one from the public has any comments. I'd like to turn it over to the mayor for her report.
I wanted to let everybody know that the NPP cabin project is complete. The orders were put on today. The electricity was added, and I would like to thank Johnny Rupp for organizing that project. The log cabin looks beautiful. There's a few things inside that need to be done, but that needs to be a little warmer for that to get done. The cleanup day this year for 2021 will be virtual again. I will set up a Google account for the event, and all the participants can email me their picture and how much trash and recyclables they cleaned up, and then we have to do it that way. You can go in groups of 10, and we can't have a barbecue again this year, but maybe things will change by then, but I don't think so.
Mayor, question, it's just one day? Last year it was like over time, over.
Yeah, it'll be over a period of time, but it's usually the deadline is the first week in, the first Saturday in May. So May 1st will be the deadline.
To have your cleanup done by.
The groups can do their cleanup, and we'll still have prizes and things like that. So I'll have more information coming soon about that. Also, the coalition is serving the firehouse dinner tonight, and we thank Candace Negrone for organizing those events as she did for the employees at City Hall. I have been attending the court meetings with the county, And the latest numbers that they have for Egg Harbor City is $46,763 to run our court countywide with the countywide court, and we would keep the revenue. That all the municipalities get to keep the revenue. And our average revenue, they have it at 65,000, but I would say a safer bet is 60,000. So currently we're with Hamilton, but that's all the information I have on that now. The time frame, I guess, for them is a year. Fireworks are scheduled for July 10th at the lake. That'll be another event that we'll have. And I just wanted to also let everyone know that the golf course at the lake is in dire need of repair. The wood on the poles is rotten, and if someone goes on there, it's like, you know, when you're playing miniature golf, you have to step on the wood, and if they fall into that, if they fall in because of the rotten plywood, we're probably going to be in a lot of trouble. So we have a fund that was collected from Brad Haber's project out there, and Horton, that they pay a certain percentage to the city for recreation, since there is no recreation supplied out there because they have the football field and all that over there in the track. So the last time we used the recreation fund was when we refurbished the tennis courts, and that was a key rec project. So Jody got a quote from Fred to, Jody, you want to talk about that, please?
Sure. So Fred, I had called a couple mini golf, just to kind of give some background. I did call a couple of mini golf places. Most of them, they really won't do smaller wooden courses. They kind of do, you know, the larger kind of ones you see at most of like the shore towns and things like that. They had kind of recommended getting like a carpenter or someone to sort of do it and maybe just replacing the obstacles. So Fred's done, that if you know Fred Metz, he's done a bunch of work for the city over the years. So contacted him, he went out and took a look, and he's like, you don't need to replace the obstacles, like I can fix them and make them look great. So his proposal is to replace all the greens at all the on all the obstacles, sorry. Place all the wood, seal it and stain it so it won't get as damaged. He said it really wasn't ever protected. He said, let's seal it and stain it so it'll be protected a little bit better. And also he'll fix all the obstacles with any fiberglass or painting that they need. So his price was, I think it was $6,260, is that, or 240, something right around that amount. So it is under our quote threshold, and since we did try to get other quotes as well with the other mini golf places, depending on council's, you know, desire. I do think that is a good price for all of that. If he's gonna literally, it's 18 holes out there, and they were purchased, I think it was back in 2003. So that was when the original course was built. So it's been close to 20 years. A few years ago, we replaced a handful of the obstacles, but I guess the majority of them are probably close to 20 years old.
Yeah, and
So.
I had to take one of the holes out completely because it was so rotten. And if we don't fix it, we're gonna use more holes. And that golf course is really an attraction for people to come to our lake. Not many communities have a mini golf course. And also it's campers, they play golf too over there. And I think that we have to keep up with refurbishment, and the money that we're using is not taxpayer dollars. What it is money, just like I said before, that they put, every time a lot is sold in Egg Harbor City North on Brad Haber's side, the percentage was a piece of that money went to our recreation fund, and that's what it's there to use. And, so that's what I'm hoping, that's what I had planned to do with it. So I'm hoping that council agrees with that. But, you know, every year at the lake, I've been running the lake for 14 years. And every year I try to pick out things that, you know, need to be done, either with maybe extra money in the budget, usually with extra money in the budget, But this is too much money for us to really do within our budget, so that's why I wanted to use the recreation funds. And the only other thing that was done this year is the Public Works. I had them paint the lifeguard stand with a nice fresh coat of white paint, and that's it. Yeah, I just have a question for the Public Safety Director, but I will.
All right, we can open for a discussion on that golf course, or I can wait, has the property talked about this yet? Property
I
committee.
think we're on the park.
Usually, we don't really talk about that kind of thing because I've just been trusted for 14 years to do what needs to be done out there, but I think the council should decide whether they want to use the recreation fund money to fix the golf course, or we'll most likely lose more holes, or someone will get hurt this summer, and if that would happen, we'd have to close the golf course. And it really is a shame to close the golf course because it's really good attraction. We have golf out there, we have basketball, we have paddle boats, we have docks, we have a food stand, you know, and I hope that, you know, we don't go backwards here.
We could, let's open up for discussion. Just like the mayor said, keep in mind that it's there's no taxpayer money in this account. It's fully funded by the project out there. So if anybody has any comments or questions with it, now's your time.
Jody, do you need a resolution?
No, I just, I think we just kind of wanted to make sure council was okay with it. So just kind of wanted to make sure no one, objected for any reason. Just kind of make everyone aware.
You do a roll
Motion to
call.
approve or not?
Yeah, you can do a roll call. Since it's still on.
Okay, can I get a motion to authorize the purchase or the refurbishment of the golf course?
So moved, Dash.
Second, Trithol.
Okay, I'm gonna do a roll call. Brown,
Yes.
Clark. Yes. Dash,
Yes.
Heist. Heist,
I'm gonna abstain.
Sefton. Yes. Timbers,
Yes.
Trithol,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, open up the council committee chair reports. We'll start with finance and redevelopment. Finance, we had an initial meeting to start going over contract negotiations with Teamsters Union, and I believe on next Thursday, the 18th, we have a redevelopment meeting scheduled for the investor that will be possibly purchasing the St. Nick's property, which Brian will touch on in his report. Other than that, that's it for finance and redevelopment that I can recall. Safety, Councilman Tricol.
Not much to report. The fire department got their air packs in from the grant and put them basically in service and what was needed.
All right, thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Highway, Councilwoman Ice.
Nothing on highway.
Thank you. Code, Councilman Dash.
Sorry, nothing on code.
Property, parks, and playgrounds, Councilwoman Ice.
Just to let everybody know, Candace Negron let me know that Rutgers did approve the grant to fence in Rotary Park. So she was in the process of, Jody, she was supposed to get a hold of you and then something was supposed to be done with that. But you see, Candace, please thank her because that was a lot of work and we really appreciate her doing that for us so we can get that playground fenced in. That's it.
Thank you. Utility, Councilman Ray.
Nothing, everything that I gotta talk about is gonna be discussed in 5 minutes.
License and ordinance, Councilman Tricol.
Nothing new at this time, just some in preliminaries. Thank you.
All right, can I ask you please to schedule a meeting by the end of the month? For licenses and ordinances, please.
That's affirmative.
Thank you. Land Use Board, Councilman Timbers.
I gave a report on the land use board at the end of the last meeting. I don't have my notes right in front of me. I do remember that they discussed the commercial part, possibility of some of those properties being sold at some time in the future. Also, there were a couple of individuals that they were actually giving the properties back to the city. So there would be properties available moving forward.
Thank you. School Board, Councilwoman Brown.
I have nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Jim, Meg,
Nothing.
all right, and Councilman Timbers, Aaron Hafen.
Iron Hafen, they met March 9th. They appointed a new secretary, Bill Sartorio. He's temporary right now, but I guess the next meeting they'll make him permanent if he wants the position. This meeting they used to discuss Clark's Landing. They gave a kind of a historical rendition of it. Also, they talked about the need to maintain it and keep it clean, and how they would like to see it done kind of in-house without involving the county. That was the main point of it. A presentation was given by Mr. Fiedler, and he gave a historical presentation about Clark's Landing.
Carl, was Keith Adams on that call too?
What's his name?
Keith Adams, is he there?
He's on the phone.
Oh, Keith, are you on the phone?
I see a key.
Anyhow.
No, he's
Can
in.
you hear me?
Can now.
Keith Adams,
Hey, I was not on that meeting. I know it got rescheduled, but I do expect to speak with Carl next week and we can catch up on it.
okay, I think I spoke to Gary Hess about that, and they don't want the county to take over apparently because there'll be too many regulations and things like that, and people may not be able to go out and fish when they want and all. But the guy picks up like 50 tons of trash out there a year, I think. Is that right, Carl?
Yeah, he said he sorts it, and anything that he can't, he'll actually take it to the county site himself.
So this gentleman does that all by himself every year?
Yes. Yes, and he said also there's some cans out there. It says they're not really permitted, but it is a big help.
Yeah, so we have to start thinking about what we can do. Maybe get some of those blue barrels out there with some of those green trash bags because they're real sturdy. And maybe, would that be something you think would work, or we don't think that's possible at all?
Yeah, I mean, during the summer when it's busier out there, we definitely try to take a ride out and keep up on it. But if we can place trash cans out there, I don't have a problem with that. I don't want to put anything bigger than trash cans, like a dumpster or something like that, because then it's just going to get filled with stuff that's, not from there. But whoever has the gentleman's number, I'll work with him, whatever we need to do. I could sit down. And again, I wanted to be on the meeting, but I had something come up and I couldn't get there. So whatever we need to do, Carl, I'll touch base with you and we can go from there.
Sounds great.
Thanks.
I have those bands that my husband invented to hold the green trash bags in those. I can make a couple of those, and this way the bag doesn't fall out, because those things, you know how slippery they are. Those blue trash chemical barrels that we get, and so I can make some of those if you want to do that. And also, I was wondering, would you think you'd be able to grade that road too? Because Gary was asking about that too.
Yeah, we should be able to grade it. We've been our graders down, but we have been using the John Deere with the drag box. So even if we had to go out with some dirt, I'm sure I can get some DGA or something and fill in the holes, grade it out, and start and then maintain it from there. I know it is pretty bad going back there, but I'll take a ride out. I'll grab Raymond. We'll take a ride out and we'll take a look at it and kind of come up with a plan for grading it.
Okay, thanks so much, Keith. Nanette had a question. Grading the road.
I think she's asking, is there a collaborative with Galloway Township on maintenance? Is this,
No,
I think
it's
that-
I think it's Egg Harbor City. It's all Egg Harbor City as far as I know.
grading, she wrote grading the road that leads to Clark's Landing collaborative with Galloway Township on maintenance. Nanette is on, do you want to speak, Nanette? Or maybe
Nanette?
she's on meeting.
I think she had,
I'm here. There was some discussion about coming up with some kind of schedule with Galloway and sharing the responsibility for grading the road and cleaning up the trash that develops out there. So everything, it was a good meeting. There was a lot discussed, but there was really no decisions made except for, they wanted to discuss it with the two governing bodies because I think Galloway owns part and the city owns part. And, Steve's been cleaning up that area and he enlists help from Stockton students occasionally. I even pulled a big boat out of there at one point. And, he and I also feel like the city should have more responsibility for cleaning up out there. It's our land. There's an issue with the DEP owning some property out there. And personally, I would like to see the city take care of their land and not have the DEP get involved. He did mention to me that there's grave sites out there that he would like to see preserved or fenced in somehow. And that's where he wanted to work with the county on that because they take care of that Revolutionary War grave site on, was it Moss Mill Road? Going towards Smithville. And so he envisions something like that to preserve the history of that area because it was a little town out there at one point. And it goes back pre-Revolutionary War period. So it is a historic site and, nothing was decided, but they just wanted an open discussion between the two towns on how to keep it nice. I also sent, I don't know who I sent it to this morning, a video of that he had made, and it's mostly a drone video showing the area and how big it is, and it's kind of a neat video if you want to watch it. And so that's basically all that was discussed at this point. So it's up to the council what you want to do. If you want to send Keith out there and the public works guys to grade the road, that seemed to be the big priority for everybody at the table was that, you can't get out there when the tide comes in sometimes, and that road really needs to be accessible to allow people from town to get out there to fish or hunt or whatever they're going to do out there.
We'll definitely take a look at the road, but I do believe the grave sites you're talking about are on private property. I've been back there before. There is tons of swamp before you get to them. So I don't know how, without disturbing natural habitat, that we could get to them to preserve them. And I do believe that it is on private property.
How about that? Well, I've never been out there, so I don't even know where it is or how to get there. So, but Steve's been coming into our green team meetings and just reporting on, how much trash is generated out there. And he said at one point, some of the fishermen had pitched in and helped out and are trying to keep it clean too. And I had suggested that our green team might create some kind of a recognition program for the volunteers or the fishermen who do help out. So that's just something that we've discussed, but really haven't taken any action on so far.
That's fine. Yeah, we'll take a look at it. We do have through Clean Communities, we do have someone that comes in and picks up trash. So she has a regular route that she goes on. So if once we get it under control, if it's something that we can keep up on, make it easier for her to go back there and do it, we might be able to add it that as well. So I'll get with Carl. I'm sure he can kind of report back who I can touch base with, and then we can move forward from there. And hopefully by the time it starts getting busy, we can have a plan in place.
Yeah, he said there were 16 trucks out there the other day with the nice weather. So it seems like it's really being used.
I believe it. Yeah. So, okay, no problem. We'll take a look at it. And
Thanks, Keith.
We'll come up with a plan. You got it.
Nanette, can you share Steve's last name or? his-
Fiedler,
I know,
Steve Fiedler.
I don't know if I have it,
I have his email address at least.
and then I can give it to Keith or Brian, you have his. Let
Yeah,
me see if I
let me
have
see.
it.
But we'll get it to Keith.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Councilman Timbers on that. I think that's the first Aaron Hayden report we've had in over a year.
Yeah, I have Steve's cell phone number.
Maybe ever.
Yeah. So, thank you for that.
Not, wait a minute, I was Aaron Heffer last year and they never sent me emails for the meetings and I called NAST and never got anything, so that's not my fault. I tried.
Never said it was.
I just think they didn't want a woman in their meetings.
Stop it. All right, Director Emmer.
We have one comment in the
Just for the
chat.
record, there was, I did see more than one woman at this meeting. And I didn't actually have I wasn't able to attend. I watched the recording of it. So even in the recording, I saw more than one woman.
Well, the one I went to was 5 guys and me in a little tiny office. And they never invited me back, so I don't know what it was.
My question in the chat is saying, can we make Clark's Landing a part of the Egg Harbor City Cleanup Day? So maybe that's something we can look into. If somebody wants to do that as part of the cleanup day.
Yeah, I mean, if I get the volunteers, sure, whoever wants to volunteer, you could put 10 people out there on and
Send
do it.
pictures.
Yeah.
You could do it a couple of times if need be, just send the pictures and with the trash bags, but I'm gonna send out my email to try to get volunteers along with my CTY call, but last year I only had like 14, 15 volunteers. So, you know, when it's virtual like that, it's just not as, you don't draw as many people. Cedar Creek was a big part of those cleanups and they weren't allowed to go to the cleanups anymore, so. But we can if we get the volunteers.
Director Emmer, your public safety report, please.
For the 5th pay period, which covers the dates of February 14th to March 6th, the police department handled the following: 3 burglaries, 1 fraud, 1 narcotics investigation, and 6 thefts. We handled 6 motor vehicle accidents, conducted 6 pedestrian stops, and 179 traffic stops. They issued 61 traffic tickets and arrested 14 individuals. They also handled 6 business alarms, 5 residential alarms. They handled 1 criminal mischief, 10 domestics, which was a little high, 22 EMS incidents, 9 firearm applications, 18 follow-ups, 371 property checks, and they conducted 6 public services for a total of 1,015 calls for service is what they had all together. Everything in the police department at this point is going fine. I have no complaints, neither do the police, and we're happy with the way things are going.
Mark, I have a question for you too. A while ago, I sent you and Scott the link for that bicycle safety. I guess it was a seminar or workshop. You guys said you signed up for it. Did you actually do it? Did you or Scott do it?
No, I did not. I signed up for it and I got tied up with my other job and wasn't able to attend.
I got tied up with some FEMA stuff. So unfortunately, no, I couldn't attend that one either.
We had a discussion when the unfortunate incident happened with Miss Campbell, and she was plowed over on Philadelphia Avenue by a bicycle. Someone riding a bicycle on the street, not the street, but the sidewalk. And I think that now that the weather's getting warmer, we may start seeing a lot more of that happening, people riding their bikes on the sidewalk. I see it all the time now on Philadelphia Avenue, but I think, you know, Scott, if you're meeting with the ordinance, is he on the ordinance?
Yeah, that's how
If you're
Yes.
with the ordinance committee, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to try to find, maybe Angela can find something on, in another municipality that has the bicycle ordinance. Just, you know, we don't want anybody to get hit by a car, but remember, we do have alleyways, like they could ride in the alleyways if we're going down Philadelphia Avenue or the terraces, whatever you call
All the short.
Most of the research that I did in different municipalities, either A, they have a bike path along the roadway. B, they have bike ordinances that pertain to boardwalks, and nothing really like sort of like what we have with a large street with the weird diagonal parking.
Okay, well, maybe Angela can find something. And, Mace, what did you say about it?
I said all the short towns, you get a ticket driving your bike in the south.
Okay, I just don't want any more accidents to happen. You all saw the pictures of Mary and the guy got away because we didn't get it on camera. Oh, that's the other thing I did forget to tell you while we're on safety. We are getting the cameras. The NPP grant is buying the cameras for the 300 block of Philadelphia Avenue. Those cameras, hopefully, Jody, if I'm not mistaken, would cover the 400 and the 200 too, possibly. But
I'm not sure. Phil's email just said 400 blocks, so I'm not sure.
And them cameras may be placed, but at the White Horse Pike and Philadelphia Avenue if possible.
White Horse Pike and Cincinnati, and then the White Horse Pike and towards Kowalski's floor, like towards the Atlantic Avenue and stuff. So there's like 3 locations that the camera will go. The one on Cincinnati will cover Lincoln Park too, so that's a good thing. So we're working on improving, safety. Thank God for the NPP grant. That's all I can say. Thank you, Mark. That's all I have.
You're welcome.
Anybody have any questions for Director Emmer? If not, we'll move on to our CFO report.
Just 2 things. One, I was talking to, some of you probably have seen, maybe in the paper, various places about, the new CARES Act funding that's coming out. So apparently the cities, every town, I believe, is getting a portion. So our allocation is about 390,000. I did talk to our auditor yesterday, and he has a meeting with the state, so he's hoping to get some more information. No one really knows yet exactly how that is going to be like distributed, if it's going to be a grant, if it's going to just be more general funding. So hopefully we'll have some more information on that coming up soon. But just kind of wanted to put it out there because I know people keep hearing about more CARES funding coming out. So as soon as I have information, I will share that with council.
And it looked like in the first paragraph of that, it said something about loans. So could be
Okay, yeah. Okay. And then just one other thing, Nanette is on here, but she had asked me to mention, I had forwarded code enforcement, Steve from code enforcement actually had just seen it and had forwarded it to me, but Lowe's is having a community grant program. So it's seemed pretty flexible. It's kind of basically the application is very simple. It's kind of just, I guess you apply, and if they need more information, they'll contact you if it's a project they're interested. But even individuals, it looks like, can apply. They just have to be able to partner with a municipality or a local government or a nonprofit or some type of government entity. So Nanette applied for the green team to do the trash cans for everybody. So, and that would be a collaboration between the NPP, ACUA, and the city. So if we hear anything, or if anybody has any other ideas, let me know. We can take a look.
I just want to mention, I did submit something as well
Okay.
for a break area for the city employees somewhere, maybe some picnic tables and neighbors. I figured it was, I mean, Joe Keener had sent it to me, so I kind of just, we talk about that as employees here. It'd be a nice place. We didn't know if we'd like to go outside on the first day. But I did submit something. I don't have any drawings or anything like that, but what I was proposing was kind of on the low scale, was a picnic table somewhere outside with some pavers and, so I did submit something if
Okay.
anybody sees. I just was looking for a picnic table.
Has the application period closed out?
I don't think so. I just actually saw it yesterday, so I'm pretty sure it goes for a little while.
I did forward it to the NPP.
Okay.
I didn't get a response yet. Candace always has ideas too.
I think I included, I think I forwarded it to her. Mhm.
That's everything.
October 2021, Nanette said.
It closes.
She wrote has to be completed. I'm not sure if that's when the project has to be complete. I can try and find it in my
I
email.
forwarded you.
Okay.
It was, I think anybody can actually.
The only reason I asked was for procedures. All right, city clerk?
I did have one thing, last week, the American Cancer Society did submit their application to for use of facilities for their bike-a-thon. They usually submit this because they do need police detail. I did forward it to the lieutenant and to Director Emmer. It didn't make the agenda, but their police end of it was just signed off on. But we usually do a motion to approve, just so to make everybody aware that it is September 19th, 2021, from 7:30 to 1:30. Last year it was canceled due to COVID, but I guess they're thinking of doing it again. So it has all the sign off. It's just the last is city approval.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the application?
Yes.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Angela, you're up. City attorney report.
Well, I've been here a while. Listen up. Okay, so thank you, everyone. It's nice to see everyone in person, and hello, everyone who's on the Zoom. So for your consideration this evening on number 14 is the public hearing on the municipal consent for the sale of the water plant to American Water Company. As we discussed a couple of meetings ago, this is the ordinance to permit basically the delivery of water to the residents by using the pipes underground below the streets. And also for your consideration, number 15 is the resolution to enter into the agreement with American Water Company. And today we sent over the appendices to the agreement. So on the agreement, I just want everyone to know that a lot of hard work has gone into the preparation of the agreement, many meetings, many days. The agreement was gone through line by line, word by word by myself, by the engineer, some council members, the committee, and lots of public input in the two open meetings that we had, the two public meetings that we had where we gave the public a full and fair opportunity to speak and ask as many questions as they wanted. The agreement, I believe, is fair and beneficial to the residents of the city of Egg Harbor. I think it's the best agreement we could have gotten under all of the circumstances. A lot of credit goes to the city engineer for all the hard work he did before I got here. And a lot of accolades also goes to the committee, who some of which are here and some of which are not here, that worked very hard on its preparation, to the mayor, to Mr. Ritchie, and to everyone on the committee. So the public will have another opportunity on the ordinance to speak this evening. If you have any more questions, please let us know. We'll be happy to answer them. Along with that, I have an update on the marijuana legalization. As most of you know, and if you don't know, Governor Murphy signed 3 bills. Basically, marijuana is legal in New Jersey now. There was a referendum in November where everyone got to vote on whether or not they wanted marijuana in the state. So we got marijuana in the state. It's now legal. In the bills, it gives municipalities an opportunity within 180 days, which is until August 21st of this year, to opt in or opt out of the different categories of ownership and farms that will be coming to the state of New Jersey. So to give you an overview, there will be 6 kinds of licenses granted in the state by marijuana. I call it the Marijuana Commission. So it's a special commission, sort of like the casino commission that we had. If you want a license to perform any of the 6 functions, you have to go to the commission, which I understand will investigate your background, location, who you are, how much money you have, where you want to put your facility, on, and it will be a fairly extensive process. If you're fortunate enough to get a license, then of course you have to figure out, or if you haven't figured out, where you would like to go and operate. The 6 licenses will be as follows. You have the cannabis grower. I take it that's a farm. Cultivator. You have a processor. You have a wholesaler. You have a distributor. You have a retailer. And you have a delivery service license. Now keep in mind, Only the state will regulate delivery services. Municipalities cannot opt out of delivery services. In other words, you can't prohibit marijuana from going through your municipality to be delivered to another location. You know, Ocean City, God bless them, Haddonfield, Ocean Grove, all dry communities, Collingswood, try hard as they will, they can't prevent marijuana from being transported through Collingswood into Camden. Ocean City can't prevent some marijuana being transported from Summers Point into Ocean City. And that's where that buck will stop. But as far as municipalities are concerned, there's also the benefit of a cannabis tax. So these are the 4 categories of cannabis taxes which are permitted now. 2% for the grower, which is the farmer, the cultivator, 2% for the processor, 1% for the wholesaler, and 2% for the retailer. These are all taxes that any municipality can collect if you have these establishments in your municipality. And God love the legislature, not only will these people get taxed, say 2% for growing the marijuana in the municipality, but if there's a processing plant in another municipality, they're gonna get taxed another 2%. And if there's a wholesaler in another municipality, they're gonna get taxed another 1% and another 2% for the retailer. So they're being taxed and taxed and taxed. The municipalities can use their discretion. If they don't pay their taxes, their delinquencies, the same as property taxes. So what can municipalities do? Well, there's 2 ways to go. Either you opt in or you opt out. Opt in means you allow the state to basically designate for you where your facilities will go. You're not prohibiting any of the 6 types of facilities into your municipality. And of course, you are collecting the taxes, but you can't regulate them. You choose not to regulate these facilities coming into your municipality. And basically what that will do to your zoning is that any of these facilities will be permitted uses in your industrial zones, and they will be conditional uses in your commercial and retail zones. So in other words, they will designate your zoning for you. That's what opting in means. Opting out means that you may choose any or all or none of the 6 categories to come into your municipality. And you can designate where they go, you can put hours on the facilities, you can basically control the situation as best we can. If you opt out, we'll need an ordinance passed by August 21st. That's why I'm bringing it to your attention now, because we have some time to think about these issues before it comes time to either pass an ordinance or not pass an ordinance, but it has to be passed on the books by August 21st. If you pass an ordinance by opting out and designate the areas, then after 5 years, you can revisit that. You can revisit if it's not working for the municipality and redo it. The same thing if you opt in, if you let the state choose for you, after 5 years, you can also revisit that situation and see if that works for the municipality. The state is creating some special zone areas for municipalities that they feel the residents were disenfranchised or discriminated against, such as Atlantic City and Camden. They will get special priority on the 6 categories of licenses. Egg Harbor City is not one of them. So anyone choosing to open up any of the 6 facilities in Egg Harbor City is not going to get preferential treatment, but they will get treatment like everyone else. So for your consideration this evening, I suggest 1 of 2 things. Mr. Ritchie can set up a committee to review whether to opt in or opt out, the pros and cons of either, and then the committee can report back to the whole council either next meeting or the meeting after that. And then we can have a vote as to whether you would like to opt in or opt out. Or you can choose this evening, if you like, to opt in. We'll have a roll call vote of opting in or opting out. And then we'll have a committee set up by Mr. Ritchie to determine where these facilities should go, how we should regulate them. Because remember, by opting out, we need to pass an ordinance designating where we'd like them. That would dovetail nicely with the master plan that we're doing. With the review of the master plan, we can also look very carefully at the locations for these facilities. Now, it's a short time frame. The legislature didn't give municipalities a lot of time. It's a lot to digest in 180 days. It's a lot to do and place in an ordinance in a very short period of time. So, but it's critical to the residents of all the municipalities, and it's critical to the revenue of the municipality. Whether you forego the revenue, you choose some revenue, it's completely up to the governing body. So I don't have a recommendation one way or another, whether opt in or opt out. The choice is completely up to you, the governing body. I don't have any preference on marijuana, keeping it in or out, smelling it, whatever. It's a choice. And so I leave that up to the residents and to the people who partake or don't partake. So that's my report. And Mr. Ritchie, you can decide whether or not you want to set up a committee to review opting in, opting out. We can have a vote and then set up the committee. That's also up to you.
All right, well, considering all the information that you just gave us, and
It's
the
going to be a
time,
lot of information.
and the time it's gonna take for us to digest it and think about it, I would suggest that we set up a committee, and I don't even think I need to set up a committee. I think I'll just use the Finance and Redevelopment Committee to utilize the conversation of opting in and opting out. And I think we can discuss that after our meeting on the 18th, if they're all available to do so. If not, I can set up another meeting prior to the next council meeting on the 25th. And then at the meeting of the 25th, we'll bring to council what we discussed. And then from there, we'll vote on whether we want to move forward with in or out.
Along with that, I would suggest that the land use board be apprised. I know Jen's on the phone from Mr. Palestina's office. I asked Ryan to speak if he would like to speak about different areas of zoning that we have to take into consideration if you opt out. That's going to be a land use function. It's going to be a recommendation from the land use to the governing body as to where we put these facilities. And so they have to be involved in this conversation in some manner.
We do have a question, or someone's asking to use the board to incorporate it into the, I guess that's a suggestion from, to use it to incorporate it into the master plan.
Yes, of course. That was my suggestion. Since we're doing the master plan now, these issues actually dovetail nicely with our implementation of the master plan. So it's not going to be, extraordinary work, which it would be for a lot of other municipalities that aren't looking at their master plan. But since we're looking at the master plan, it's work, but it's not, an extraordinary amount of work. It is a short period of time.
This is Mark Emmer, Director of Public Safety. Just so that you realize when you want to look this over, this bill is 216 pages long. Okay, so I mean, it's something that's going to take a lot of time for everybody to digest and really understand it. I've probably read it 4 or 5 times already, and I don't understand it. So it is 216 pages long that you're going to have to digest.
Well, it's also 3 bills, Mark. It's not just one bill, it's 3 bills. The last bill they passed is the one with violation.
But I believe the one that you're talking about, Angela, is 216 pages long.
Yes, the first one, right. And the last one was the one with violation. Carrying 6 ounces, about carrying hashish, about smoking, smoking, and about the drug testing that's going to have to come.
You got it, Carl?
Because
Yeah.
have issues with drug testing, right now you may have a no drug policy, but since we now have legalization of marijuana, it's no longer considered a drug. So if you test positive as an employee, there are going to be ramifications, and somehow we have to fit that into the manual as well.
Well,
And
Angela,
that's not clear.
Your synopsis that you gave us was very, clear, and maybe you could send that to the committee.
Oh, sure,
and-
you know,
So we don't have to look at 200 and some pages.
I got a good synopsis out of the League of Municipalities. They have a legislative briefing, marijuana legislation, which was excellent. So a lot of the information I got was there, because when I started to read the whole 200 pages, I couldn't nap it, so, you know. It's very lengthy, but it's not only lengthy, it's dense.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is very unclear, to me anyway. And if it's unclear to me, I'm sure a lot of other people find it even more unclear. And I think there's going to have to be clarification as the state moves forward in licensing. I think along with that marijuana commission, maybe the DCA or one of the other, state bodies has to look and promulgate regulations, which is usually what they do. But they haven't done this yet, but have given municipalities a short period of time to decide something which isn't that clear. But we'll do the best we can.
All right. So, yeah, if you could email the committee, the mayor, and Meg that information, so we have it on, so we have it, and Meg has it on file to forward to everyone else. If you need it.
Are we to call this the cannabis commission?
Uh,
Or the marijuana commission?
It's the cannabis
Okay.
commission, and from the state, it's the
Yes,
cannabis.
cannabis commission.
Someone's.
The cannabis commission is what's going to be set up on the state side to determine the licensing requirements. We could call our committee the cannabis committee.
No, we don't want to get a reputation. Thanks, Angela. Anything else?
No. Once again, on the sale to the water plant, the appendices were set up and were made available to mayor and council for review. There were only a few that were still draft, but for the most part, it's all completed, and those should be completed on a timely basis. If mayor and council vote to enter into the agreement, American Water Company will be submitting the application to the BPU as soon as possible. And if it's approved, which we expect it to be approved, if there's a positive vote, then sometime in the fall, we should have a closing date. Does anyone have any questions on that?
Anyone on council, any questions? There are none.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, engineers report.
All right, well, I mean, I won't spend too much time on the water treatment sale. Sounds like there's no questions, so I'll sort of move on from that. Last week, earlier this week, I'm sure most of you know by now, a light fixture fell from a pole on Philadelphia Avenue onto someone's vehicle, caused damage to their windshield and elsewhere. So obviously everyone is trying to figure out who owns the pole, whose fault it was, all that pretty quickly. To give a little backstory, and I provided this via email just to make sure everyone's aware, the city purchased the poles as part of the streetscape, but they got turned over to Atlantic City Electric. They're the one to install them, maintain them, and they own them. We just sort of rent the light through the lease lighting program. So Atlantic City Electric, we're expecting a report from them to confirm that they own it and all that, but there's a pole number on the pole. It's pretty obvious. So the owner of the vehicle will submit a claim to Atlantic City Electric. They will resolve it. Just for a little peace of mind for the city, we're going to request information about the cause of the failure and request Atlantic City Electric inspect all similar poles in the city to determine if any other ones are, close to failure for the same causes. So if there's, if it becomes more of a problem than just one isolated incident, we'll know about it before they start falling everywhere. But hopefully it's just one, sort of freak thing, and that's the end of it. For the marijuana update, as Angela said, it's really good timing for us with the master plan reexamination. When you do a reexam, you want to look at new land uses that didn't exist at the time you did your last reexam or master plan. So that's just something we would naturally look at as part of that process. So we'll incorporate it in there, and the land use board will ultimately make recommendations back to city council to assist with the development of the land use ordinance. So I think we should be in good shape there. Update on the solar. I was able to get a list of all city properties and their electric usage. from Jody. We met with the solar developer and sort of aggregated a whole bunch more city properties. Since we're looking at remote net metering now, you can provide electric to 50 facilities instead of just the 4 that we had in our RFP. So we aggregated a whole bunch, and they're pretty confident we'll be able to fill pretty much the whole lot and provide all city properties with solar power, and that'll help them bring their costs down and reduce the rate that's the proposed supply rate to the city. So they said they're going to go back with the updated information and should be able to provide us their proposal for next week. Assuming everything makes sense in the proposal, I'll try to sit down with the property committee, maybe bring them in, and we'll sort of talk through what things look like. Look at the financials with Jody and go from there. There is a meeting scheduled with the prospective redeveloper for the St. Nick's property on the 18th. We're not sure if it'll be in person or remote yet at this point, but we're going to sit down with them and talk through what it would look like for them if it's something the city's interested in, and then the best path forward would be a redevelopment agreement to sort of craft their use around what they're proposing. So we'll know more coming out of that meeting. We are still working on the proposed community sign at Philadelphia Avenue and Route 30. We had an appeal hearing with NJDOT. They rejected our initial application and sort of fished for reasons for a while, but finally settled on the fact that they either want us to have a permit from the Pinelands Commission for it or a letter saying we don't need a permit. The sign is consistent with the city ordinance that the Pinelands signed off on in 2017, so I don't see why it would be a problem, but we did reach out to the Pinelands. We're just waiting to hear back from them, and then hopefully we can finally get moving forward with that. I'm sure as everyone's noting, DOT and Route 30 is progressing. They're sort of switching sides. They're moving to the other side of the lane. They'll be working their way down from west to east from Mullica towards Galloway. They're still working on the stormwater piping and inlets and all of that. And then the utility improvements on this side of the road. Essentially, when they did the first half, they just went halfway, and now they'll be picking everything up and extending it across the street. The Wawa project is also progressing. They're moving into stormwater basins, underground basins, things like that now. So they're making good progress. And then the last thing I really have is that there is a land use board meeting next Tuesday. So there should be an update coming out of that. So that's it for me, unless anybody has any questions or.
I have one question. As far as the solar, will that supplies the, I'm going to sort of down here, like the fields and everything?
So it would be essentially any eligible electric meter that the city is paying for electric for. So anything, yeah, Kernfield, any city-owned property. We essentially had to take the list and pair out all utility properties, because there's no sense doing all that and then selling the utility assets out from under it. So the city would have to retain the assets that are fed, but the library here, the firehouse, Kernfield, the community, the senior center, there's essentially all city properties that use electricity. And rather than our RFP originally used 4 sites. So now there's additional costs for all of that, because you have to install redundant equipment at all 4 sites. So the fact that we consolidate to 1 location and expand the usage, helps in both directions.
And did you inquire about what Ms. Galloway asked about?
I did. I asked about mixing potentially with the community solar project, and their concerns were that the community solar program takes a lot more time. So they were really focused on trying to get through a net metered solar project, and especially if we could get the usage up, which we were able to do. I mean, the reason for looking at a community solar combined was really that we were only covering half the lot at the first look at it. But now that we are able to aggregate, pretty much all of the city's facilities, the usage is up, and we'll be able to use almost the whole footprint of the parking lot. So.
Ryan, I have a question for you.
Sure.
The Crusaders field.
Yeah,
Can you
so
go
I
to
was just about
Crusaders field,
It-
because that electric bill is like $12,000 a year.
Yeah, we have a list of every city account. So everything
Well,
that's.
technically, I mean, field's not city, it's pretty much key record probably on the Crusaders pays electric bills, student Crusaders pays electric. Problem is September, October, November, my bill goes from $1,300 to $1,800 a month.
Sure.
And if we can get some, I mean, it's still under the city leases us the field. So I don't know if they consider that still city but the electric bills are in the Crusaders name.
All right, well, let me take a look at that with them. I'm sure we could find some arrangement that would allow for that to be, so I mean, like I said, it is a a city facility for all intents and purposes, even though it's technically
Because
DOT. Quebec.
technically there's
Um,
7 different meters out there.
Yeah, yeah, well, I think a couple of them are city, because there are a couple that are at at Buffalo Avenue.
Yeah, but they're still coming to get savers. Like, we've been trying to back and forth with the electric company, trying to get it consolidated into
Sure.
one bill.
It's just simplify,
Well, you
yeah.
got the Ninth Terrace and Buffalo, you got Deschutes, you got the Deer Street, you got
Sure.
the Ninth Terrace, you know?
Yeah, each
Like,
field has its own meter. and
Yes,
Yeah,
pretty much.
yeah, right. All right, well, no, I mean, I'll see what we can do and see if we can consolidate. I mean, even if we can just assist to consolidate your bill,
Yeah, that would be awesome.
and make sure that your rates are appropriate.
Brian, would you need a site to put panels in
Well-
order to encompass T-Rex?
So it seemed like we have sufficient area at the Transit Hub site, but I mean, we'll have to see if that usage was not on the list. I'll bring that back to him and see if we can, see if we can accommodate that at the site. If not, I mean, maybe we'll look to doing a remote net metering for your facility as well. Because you don't want to give away any field area. You don't really want solar panels next to a baseball field, but if we can find another site.
I can make a suggestion.
Mhm.
I know you were here when we were going to build the community center
Mhm.
right across the street from the Leap Field sign.
Yep.
And I believe Pinelands did approve that. So,
On the corner there.
yeah, on the corner.
Because technically,
yeah,
that's
they're
actually city,
That's city property,
Pineland,
yeah.
yes, that's city property, and then across the street where all the baseballs go, we try to turn it into a parking lot. It's owned by Pineland.
Yeah,
So we've
so
been trying for years to try to flip flop a lot. So
The-
we can-
yeah, the corner of Deer Street and Buffalo is wetlands for all intents and purposes. But we did get approval. We were going to move the house or the bar, the old duck
Yes.
in, duck out.
but
We
it
were
would
gonna
never
move
be-
that over. It was gonna be essentially if you're coming from the school, it would have been the third property on the left.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, so
We
that
did
site
a
is what
lot.
we did get approval to move that there and then never did just because there's other issues.
Well, when we went, took me and Butchie went and looked at it, it wouldn't have made.
No, it wouldn't have made it, and it had
wouldn't have made it.
asbestos tiles, and there was other complications, so. But yes, that approval does still exist, so that would have the potential to
I mean, I
host.
don't know if we ever have the money to have a community center there. I don't know. what do you
I
think?
mean, money wise, I know the Crusaders and Key Rec both don't have it, so we were just, at the time, me, Guinness and Butchie and all that, we were always sat down and went over the blueprints, what we were gonna do, and how we actually had it all cleared out.
Mhm.
Chris Hall went there and cleared it all out, and we were gonna start, but then again, we were trying to find volunteers and the money to do it and this and that, so.
Yeah.
Unless we, eventually maybe generate enough money through that North project or something like that, where they can trip in and help.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah, getting the rec
Other than that, I don't
fees.
see it happening unless we got everything donated and volunteered.
I mean, I think to use it for solar, if we could use it for a community center.
Yeah,
But
understood.
it's an option,
All right, well, let
And
me,
Also, don't forget the cabin now has electric, so you might have.
well, yeah, I mean, that'll be through one of the city meters, so, that'll get captured in here. But if you can forward me your usage, you can
Yeah.
request your annual usage from Atlantic City Electric, and they can send in a format that the solar developers can work with.
Okay.
Yeah, they take a couple days to turn
Yeah,
out.
just email what you need and then I'll get it from my treasurer.
Okay, well, actually, there's a contact Atlantic City Electric. I can just email her and copy you, and then you
Yeah.
just reply and say,
Yeah,
yes,
that's fine.
please.
That
Yeah.
works.
Do you need, poll, the, numbers, poll numbers?
For what?
Anything?
No, it's all registered through the meters. It's not the lease lighting. The lease lighting has a reduced tariff anyway. The solar is not, the rate's not competitive for that.
I
Because
have
that's,
all the poll numbers. It's connected here and also with the rate, because Gary has to, and if the, civilian.
Yeah, it-
has to do it.
anything that's a metered pole, those are the ones that it's effective on. So if it's leased light, you're not gonna get anywhere. But, all right, yeah, no, I'll draft the email now and copy
Oh,
all
thank
that.
you so much.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Anybody else, any
Of course.
questions for Ryan? If not, we'll move on to 13, motion to approve. So the mayor received an email from Pastor Kathleen Jones Harris stating that the group of Egg Harbor City clergy are working together on a Good Friday community prayer service. We would like to invite the public to join us in Lincoln Park at noon on Good Friday for reading of the Good Friday Gospels. We are not planning on serving any food, and we will require people to wear masks and maintain 6 feet between members of their household and people from other households. We are not a formal group and have no funds. They are asking that if council would consider waiving the rental fee, and they would be very grateful for it. So with that, if there's no questions, comments, or concerns, can I have a motion to waive the rental fee for them to hold this event?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, please?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, as spoken about before, ordinance number 2, 2021, granting consent permission to New Jersey American Water Company to furnish potable water and wastewater conveyance in the city of Egg Harbor, New Jersey. Can I have a motion to open for public hearing?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All right, it's open for public. Any comments, concerns, questions?
No.
All right, if there's no one from the public that has anything to say,
Make a motion.
thank you. Second? All right. To adopt the ordinance, may I please have a, no questions, comments, or concerns?
Yeah, I'll second.
All right, roll call, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Heist,
Cruz.
Sefton,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Trithol,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. All right. I have a motion to advertise the notice of adoption in the Hampton Gazette on March 17th, 2021.
So moved, Dash.
So moved, Brown.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great, thank you. Number 15, resolution. Enter into an agreement of sale with New Jersey American Water Company Incorporated for the sale of the water and wastewater assets pursuant to the Water Infrastructure Protection Act, NJSA 5830-1. And authorizing the city engineer to submit the proposed use of the purchase price to the Director of the Department of Community Affairs for approval, and authorizing New Jersey American Water Incorporated to submit the agreement to the BPU for approval. If there are no questions, comments, or concerns, may I have a motion?
Comment. Council President, I have a comment.
Go ahead.
With recently, it was discussed that the CARES Act may provide funding to the municipality. I've heard that a portion of that funding may be used for infrastructure, and specifically water infrastructure. Now, 300,000 doesn't sound like a lot, but I don't know how much is coming. Additionally, with the legalization of marijuana, I don't know whether we're going to opt in or opt out. I don't know what income potential it could provide, but it may provide some income to the municipality. I don't know how much. And my concern is that between the CARES Act and the legalization of marijuana, if it does produce revenue that could potentially be used towards the infrastructure, that we would be almost in haste to sell, because at the time when it was contemplated that we needed to sell, these were two variables that did not exist, but now they do. And I think we need to kind of get a understanding of what the potential revenue is from that before we make this vote. And the reason I say that is because if we sell the water company, that's forever, right? We lose control, and we also lose control of the rate over time. And when I've read the agreement, my concern is that taxpayers are looking for relief on their water bill. If they think their water bill is high now, the agreement says that they get a 5% reduction for the first 2 years. And then after that, it'll go to, I guess, a normalized rate. But that doesn't take into account the fact that they're doing improvements. It's possible, from me looking at it, that they could go to the BPU and based upon their capital improvements, the money that they're spending to fix our infrastructure, they may be able to get the rate increased. And if the rate increases to some point where very quickly we find that the water bill is not lower, but higher, I just think that may not be fair to the residents because they didn't know that. And the other concern is I look at it and they say, okay, well, the municipality, it says like, I guess, public buildings that they won't have to pay for water for 10 years. But this agreement is forever, it's in perpetuity. 10 years is a blink of an eye. It doesn't seem like we should be paying water in 10 years. That'll be so quick. And then that has to be passed on to the ratepayer as well. Whether it's a tax or somehow we gotta, they just increase the rate even to cover it somehow. And I think these are real concerns. And what I would like to see is that we maybe table the vote for 30 days or at least one meeting and see if we can see if we can get some type of clarity as to if the CARES Act money is going to be ongoing and how much potentially. Can we ask for an increase specifically for infrastructure? And two, what is the potential revenue from this legalization of marijuana? What if we have people that come to our town and they want to use water to grow these plants? I don't know these answers, but I'd like to have a more information so I can feel that I have an informed vote. And at this time, my concern is that I would not be able to vote for this resolution, and we need a 2/3 vote. And I don't want my vote to like somehow, be the one that says it can't move forward. And then people are like, oh, we lost out on almost 22 million in cash and 9 million in the first year and 14 million total and just infrastructure money. So I would ask for a motion before we hear this one on whether, if you'll entertain it, that we would table the resolution for maybe 30 days and then vote.
Okay, so first and foremost, everything you said, I'm gonna ask council to take into consideration. Before we go to what you're requesting, I'm gonna ask Ryan and Angela if they have any comments in regards to what you have stated. And then we'll discuss. So Ryan or Angela, either one of you have anything?
Sure. So I'll try to address a couple points throughout. On the 10 years for needing, not paying water for 10 years, essentially that is the maximum that has been allowed by the BPU in past transactions. So the risk is if you go longer than that, the BPU may reject that sort of in its entirety. The BPU will never agree to an agreement that allows anyone really to get free water forever, because all of the ratepayer base is paying for that water. So they allow for a transition period. And again, the longest that we're aware of is 10 years to allow for you to not have to pay for it for a period of time. And then, you have a good understanding of what your usage is and what the rates are. And then you're, sort of able to budget for it over time. So that's really what that 10-year purpose is just to act as a transition period. It's not to be, it can't be free water forever. And American Water, I believe, is on the line. I'm sure they'd be happy to speak to that as well. As far as the rates go, we presented this previously. You guys would have to raise rates. We figured at a bare minimum between 7% and 8% now, and then 2% forever forward, just to sort of skate by. That was the bare minimum. That comes nowhere near the recommended capital plan that we put together as part of this process. So, I mean, can you keep it? Would cash infusions help from various funding sources? Sure, absolutely. Every little bit you get helps, but there's no path forward that involves the rates going down. Certainly not, with retaining the system. When we started this process, New Jersey American's rates were about 12.5% lower than the city's. We agreed to a 5% reduction up front because New Jersey American's the first to acknowledge their rates, go up. They've historically gone up about 2.6% a year. I think that's the trend for the last 10 or 20 years. So they anticipate, their rates will have gone up over the last couple of years once they do their next rate case hearing. So what they did not want to do is drop to their current rates. And then when you go to the rate case, it jumps back again. So they're essentially, that 5% we negotiated sort of introduces some stability. Their rates are going to come up a little bit. Your rate goes down a little bit now. When they do the rate case hearing, your rate might go down a little bit again, or might go up a little bit, sort of depending on where the rate case hearing lands. As far as losing control of the rates, at the local level, you're correct. You would be turning over responsibility of overseeing the rates at a statewide level. For New Jersey American, it's, I believe, 2 million plus customers. And the BPU becomes the ratepayer advocate for your ratepayers. They already represent ratepayers in many other municipalities. Like I said, about 2 million customers just for New Jersey American Water. New Jersey American has to provide, a mountain of documentation to justify all of their expenses, and things that are deemed to be not justifiable are not allowed to be recovered through the rates. So there is still an advocate working on the ratepayers' behalf in this city and all others, who looks at everything and says, okay, that's a worthwhile expense, that's not. It's as long as it's a city retained asset, it's a difficult thing to fund consistently, because there's always desire to cut rates. And it's easy to say, oh, well, I'll go and I'll cut your rates. It's hard to commit to doing the work annually and committing the resources to it annually. The system requires a lot of maintenance, and it's just money that people see as, you're throwing it away because you don't see anything out of it. Your pipes are in the ground. You don't know what they look like. But a lot of them are not pretty. So it's something that requires a lot of discipline to continue to invest in. And frankly, to restore the system and stabilize things, you need a pretty big cash injection at the moment. So that's why this seemed like the best path forward. I understand you're talking about getting $300,000 and things like that. We got to repaint the water tower. We're probably 3 or 4 years overdue for that. That's probably going to be over $500,000 all by itself. We've been putting money away in the WQA for a couple of years now because we're required to by law. We couldn't even use that money for that to paint the tower. It's not an eligible expense. So I understand some new information, and does it factor in? Absolutely. Does it change the math at the end of the day? I strongly doubt it. I'm happy to sit down and go through it with you, and whatever comes to light. But I don't know that it's going to be a substantial impact to the full transaction at the end of the day. That's just my thoughts. Angela, I don't know if you have anything to add or.
Yeah, as far as the marijuana revenue, Mr. Timbers and I did speak on the legalization of marijuana at length, I believe, Mr. Timbers. And you and I discussed the fact that the licensing procedure will be lengthy, and it will be a full 18 months before they even consider any of these licenses. If the city has to choose which of the 6 or any of the 6 to come in, by the time they get their licenses in place, the structure set up, their farm set up, it will be a couple of years at the very least, but probably 4 or 5 years into the future before the city sees any revenue. Like I said, the city is not part of the specialized zones set up by the state, even though Atlantic City is, Camden is, but not the city of Egg Harbor, which means the city of Egg Harbor is not going to be in a position to start collecting revenue for several years down the road. So the revenue, if any, is a speculative aspect, and the sale of the water plant is not. The numbers that were put forth by the engineer and the committee over a period of several years. This wasn't in the making overnight. This agreement didn't happen yesterday for council to vote on today. This agreement has been in place for at least a year and a half. We've been working on it at least a year and a half that I've been working on it, and at least a year or two before that. The numbers were in place at least 2 or 3 years before today. So it's not something that was just put together to put before mayor and council today. And Mr. Timbers, I and happy to speak to you about the marijuana legislation again. You pick the date and time and as well as any other council members.
Another comment on the marijuana component of your comments. There is the potential, I suppose, for a minor increase in revenue on the water side. My guess is any cultivation facility would likely drill their own well. But even if it did increase usage a little bit, like Angela mentioned, it would be a couple years from now. And then the revenue side of it would not be eligible to be spent on the utility because it's tax revenue. It was not utility. The utility is supposed to be self-supporting on its rates. So an increase in the revenue wouldn't really impact the water and sewer equation. And I mean, I'll option it to you. Again, I believe New Jersey Americans on the call, if they would like to make comments, it's up to you if you want to offer them the floor.
No, I'm content with everything that has been explained, with the comments from Councilman Timbers, with your information, with the information Angela has given. I personally am not going to entertain to table it, but being fair and equitable, I will open it up to council for anyone on council to make a motion to table it at this time. Okay, so with that being said, I would like to move forward with a roll call, a motion, I'm sorry, to enter into an agreement of sale with New Jersey American Water Company.
I make a motion.
Have a second, please.
Kim Brown,
Roll call.
Brown,
yes.
Clark. Yes. Dash,
Yes.
Heist,
Rick Cruz,
Sefton. Yes. Timbers,
No.
Tricol,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes, yes.
Richie.
Yes.
Yes. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Angela and Ryan, we needed 2/3 of the vote, correct?
Yep.
So we have 7 out of 8.
Yes.
Okay.
7 L 9.
Chris, well, 7 out of 9. Councilman Heist.
I want an abstention, yeah.
So, we'll be moving forward with the agreement for the sale of the water treatment facility. All right. All right, moving on to 16 appropriation transfers. We've all been through this before. Judy, if you want to explain real quick.
Yes, you have the first 3 months of the year to make transfers from the prior year's budget. As you're paying, anything kind of carrying over into the next year. So just a couple housekeeping things, moving some money to Public Works. I think they're looking to get a couple plows that we had talked about. So moving some money aside for that. And then on the utility side, just allowing for some more money as part of actually the WIPA process. The engineers have additional engineering fees that should be reimbursed through the agreement with American Water.
you jerk.
What? All right, if there's no questions or comments on the appropriation transfers, may I have a motion? Make a motion. Second, please.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Brown,
Yes.
yes. Dash,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Sefton. Yes. Timbers,
Yes.
Tricol,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Richie.
Yes. All right, number 17. This is a resolution that we were asked to look into and review for statewide insurance fund, opposition to Senate Bill S3375. I'd like to open up for discussion now. Hopefully everyone read over the email that was sent out. This in regards to workers' comp. And if there's any questions, I'll defer them to Angela to answer on it.
I didn't send an email. I sent the resolution with the explanation.
Yeah.
It was included in the packet.
Are there any questions with this, or Jody can explain on?
Sure, yes. Yeah, it has the potential to really increase workers' comp liability, which obviously would greatly increase the city's cost for workers' comp insurance. So the insurance company is urging the municipalities to oppose this.
Are there any questions? All right, if I can have a motion In opposition to Senate Bill S 3375.
So moved, Dash.
Um,
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right, number 18, designating 100% disabled veteran property tax exemption, 124 Cincinnati Avenue. Owners, 124 Cincinnati has been designated 100% disabled veteran by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, and this designation has been approved by Egg Harbor City Tax Assessor William Johnson, effective January 1st, 2021, for a tax exemption. There's no questions or comments, I have a motion.
So moved.
Second, Brown.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark, Dash,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Upton. Yes. Timbers,
Yes.
Python,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. Number 19, resolution designation 100% disabled veteran property tax exemption, 1709 Liverpool Avenue. Same thing, this designation has been approved by Egg Harbor City Tax Assessor William Johnson on February 25th, 2021, for a tax exemption. May I have a motion, please?
So move, Brown.
I'll second. Brown,
Yes.
Clark. Yes. Dash,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Upton. Yes. Timbers,
Yes.
Python,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. Number 20, resolution authorizing the institution of an in rem tax foreclosure. In rem is the legal action directed towards the property. So there was a list sent of property compiled by our tax office. And we're going to move forward on foreclosing on them, I believe. Yes. So any questions or comments on that? If not, may I have a motion? Second?
Second, Brown.
Roll call.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark. Yes. Dash,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Upton. Yes. Timbers,
Yes.
Python,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. Bill list, any questions on the bill list? If not, may I have a motion to pay the bills?
Make a motion.
Second, please. Roll call.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark. Yes. Dash,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Upton. Timbers,
Yes.
Python,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. All right, Mayor, turn it over to you for any final comments.
I do not have any comments.
Councilwoman Heiss, any comments?
Just one thing I forgot in my meeting, Candace brought it up to me again that, the moving of the gazebo from Lincoln Park to Rotary Park. She said she believes there could be enough money in the grant that we got the fence with to do that. She's going to research it and see how much it's gonna cost, so if everybody could think about it and we could discuss it next meeting and figure out if it's something we'd, as a council, be interested in doing. I know we've been tossing the idea around for quite a few years now.
Thank you. Anything else?
No,
Council-
sorry, that's it. I muted it.
No worries. Councilwoman Sapper? Councilwoman Brown? Councilman Dash?
No, I don't have anything. Thank you.
Councilman Tricol?
I have nothing at this time. Thank you.
Councilman Timbers?
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Just a couple of things. Seniors started their signups on last Tuesday, Wednesday for flag football and T-ball. I think we're up to almost 30 kids for flag football and probably almost 60 kids in T-ball. So the last 2 days are hopefully going to be Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. So hopefully we'll have another good turnout and do something, especially now that the school board supposedly are not going back to full time. So So hopefully you're gonna give your kids something to do and being in your hair. So we'll get them out Tuesday, Wednesday, and next week. Also, I want to thank Brian so much for all the hard work he did with the water plant. I mean, I brought this up in 2016 that we need to get rid of this thing, and everybody looked at me like I had 6 heads. And I told them that our water bill is going to be outrageous, and I think at that time it was like 5.2%, and now it's up to, I don't know what it was, like almost 8. So
Yeah.
it's greatly appreciated. And hopefully it's for the best, and hopefully it works. So, thank you again.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Clark?
No comment.
I'd just like to say thank you, Angela, Ryan, everyone involved, the utility committee. I know it was a long, diligent, tedious. You guys have been on for 10 years, next few years. So thank you for that. And I also want to thank Keith Adams. Keith, I know you're on the phone. I know you took the time to compile why we should have held on to it. And I thank you for that, and I'm sure everybody on council also thanks you for taking the time to do that. Hopefully, what happened tonight is in the best interest, and I think it will be for the city, for the residents of Egg Harbor City. So with that, I would like to have a motion to open up for public comment.
I'll make a motion.
Second. All right, open the public comment. Anyone in the public?
Good afternoon. I'm Marcus King. Can you hear me?
Yes.
1 Philadelphia Avenue. I'm also the president for the Teamsters Union. Just for notice to the city of residents, this union has the ability from now to the end of the month to have food boxes to be given away every Friday. And we're trying to get it to the rest of the year. So if you could let the citizens know that the local union between 11 a.m. till the food runs out, we'll be having food boxes for any residents, any person that may be in need of food. So thank you for letting me say that. Number 2, I feel I'm in my feelings right now because I just heard the councilman said that Keith Adams did a great job helping sell the water department. But Keith Adams is also the same guy that hasn't got a wage increase since January, and neither has any of the employees. And I'm not understanding why it had to take 10 people to get an email to try to get a meeting together. In the history of the city, we sat down with a councilman and Jody, we were able to hammer out a contract. We're not asking for a whole lot. I don't know why this is taking so long, but it's an embarrassment, I would think, that the few folks that we do have working for the town, that we can't take a few minutes out to sit down and negotiate a contract. So I'm pressing on council, and I'm not sure which one of you all who sit over the Public Works Department, but I implore all of you to let's get this contract done. Our employees are not making a whole lot of money, and now you're talking about almost 3-4 months of retro pay that the city is going to have to pay. So I'm hoping that there's someone in that room that can have some urgency to make sure that we're taking care of the employees who take care of the town. When it came time to get the snow off the ground, those employees are out there. When it takes time to cut the trees back, those employees are out there. And I'm not understanding why. So I implore you that after tonight, maybe we can get a date to sit down and talk about our contract. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. Anybody else from the public? All right.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie, this is Keith Adams, Utility Department, Egg Harbor City. So I just want to take a minute to kind of talk about the sale and where we're at, and just kind of give my thoughts. Listen, you know as well as I know, as long as the mayor, or as well as the mayor and previous council people, I'm in the way that I can agree to disagree. We can move forward. We could be professional. We could be respectful. But I want you to understand the sale might be voted in now, and we're going to move forward with that. And you have 100% full commitment from myself and the workers in the utility department to make it a smooth transition, whether people go with them or not. But the uncomfortable part starts now. So if the people that choose not to go with New Jersey American have rights to the work here or wherever it may be, I'd just like to know moving forward from the commitment that the council made to this sale, that we have the council to make the commitment from the council to make that transition smooth as well. Because there is changes that are going to be made that are going to be uncomfortable to make moving forward. And Mr. King said, you know, there's people out there that are grinding every day and doing the work that needs to be done just as well as you guys do in your everyday lives. We all go to work and we all give it our all, but I believe that the council owes that commitment. I'd just like to say tonight that I really hope moving forward in the transition, as well as I'm going to put my effort forth to make it smooth and easy to transition, that you guys do that as well for us. And I thank you for that.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? All right, have a motion to close public comment? Second?
Second.
Second, Brown. Aye.
All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Brown.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you on the
Good
March.
night.
Don't forget 3 o'clock ahead.
So, a lot for this weekend?